All right, today's video is going to be guerrilla style. I'm shooting it laying on my couch because I'm too tired to set up my camera equipment. You can see my kid's little Powerpuff toy there. That's how you get it done, baby. It doesn't need fancy equipment to get the video done. All right, today we're going to be talking about how to emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Yeah, that's a heavy phrase. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Before I get into it, quickly, let me shill. Get the book. I can shill laying down. YouTube 2.0 on Amazon. If you're on YouTube, subscribe and hit the little notification bell. Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, like the video, comment, share with your friends. Use the hashtag #IoTheAuthor. #IoTheAuthor. New hashtag alert. Okay, let me get into the video. How to escape from mental slavery. So this morning I woke up and I always like to play some inspirational music in the morning. I light a little incense, I meditate, and then I kind of just go about the house having some nice tunes playing. And I landed on Bob Marley and the Wailers. And Redemption Song came on, a famous song of his, and one of the lines is emancipate yourself from mental slavery. No one can free our mind but ourselves. Think about the power behind that line. Like a lot of people use phrases like self-doubt why they can't reach their dreams, or they'll talk about the fact that they're held back by limiting beliefs. So what are limiting beliefs really? They're beliefs that were imposed on you primarily from society. And society conditions and brainwashes you to such an extent that in many ways people are mental slaves. Think about that. And I've tried to, I want to be accepting of people. Like, I don't want to tell anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. So if you really like what you're doing, if you're content with the corporate gig, content with the 40 hours, content with the 9 to 5, 4 vacations a year, whatever, if that's really what you want to do, Gucci, that's fine with me. But I got to thinking about the idea of mental slavery, the idea of being conditioned. And it made me think of Stockholm Syndrome. So, what is Stockholm Syndrome? If somebody kidnaps you, Stockholm Syndrome happens when you're with them for so long that you start to identify with your captor. You start to like them. You start to be okay with being kidnapped. I don't know the exact scientific term, but that's how it goes. And some people have even been kidnapped to the point where they've been so brainwashed, the kidnapper will actually let them leave the house and go about because they're just so, they've been with their captor for so long, they don't know what else to do. They've been brainwashed and psychologically beaten into submission. And I do suspect that some people, not all, mind you, not all, I do think that some people are suffering from a sort of Stockholm syndrome from society. Like you were held captive when you were, in kindergarten, right? When they said, sit still, Johnny, be a good boy, Johnny, make sure you get a good grade on the test, Susie. Don't want to rock the boat, Susie, because if if you behave and you be a good little boy and a good little girl and do everything right, one day you'll get to be like me and work 40 hours a week and get 4 vacations. And maybe when you're 40, you can get a nice BMW after you've gone into massive debt, financing your home, living the American dream, comparing yourself to everybody else, buying things you don't need, watching boatloads of TV, eating too many processed foods, getting fat, and dying. You too, Susie and Johnny, can have that if you just be a little good boy and good girl. And then we get these messages. What do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, you should be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. There's these lists of approved careers that society says that you can have. And there's so many different inputs. It's really hard to think for yourself. Imagine being told these same messages. I've been told them. I just kind of had an intuitive sense or just a lack of respect for authority where I didn't really believe it. But think of how many times these messages are coming at you from your authority figures. Unfortunately, often from your own parents because they were brainwashed. from the media, from every advertisement you see, from TVs to movies. It's one thing you should realize is the vast majority of things you see could be labeled as propaganda, brainwashing tools. And it's hard. Not only is self-doubt so palpable just because you have that caveman brain that just wants to protect your ego, on top of that, you have to deal with societal conditioning. So, I don't know. I don't know what your answer is. Do you feel like you think for yourself? Do you do things you want to do, or do you do things you feel like you have to do? Do you behave a certain way because you're expected to? A quick tell for whether or not you're thinking for yourself. There's a long list of things that you're supposed to do. Ask yourself if you would be doing them if a bunch of other people didn't also do them. Like if a bunch of other people didn't work in corporations, would you? If a bunch of other people bought houses, would you? If a bunch of other people, didn't. If a bunch of other people didn't buy houses, would you? If a bunch of other people weren't in corporations, would you work for one? If everyone didn't vote, would you vote? If everyone didn't get on a car note and get into massive debt and buy brand name stuff, would you? If for some reason the veil was lifted and everyone were to act on their own true desires, would our society look the way it does? Really, if everyone was left to their own devices and there weren't some sort of, Orwellian ad campaign all telling us to do the same things, would we really be acting like this? Ask yourself that. So why do you do it? It either could be that you genuinely want to do it. There are people who genuinely love numbers and want to be accountants. There are people who genuinely love the corporate ladder. The town I live in with the Mayo Clinic Hospital, I meet dozens of people who are absolutely thrilled with their jobs. And they are not the people that I'm talking about. They work in medicine because they care about people. They work in health and wellness because they care. They work in engineering or IT because they actually like working with things. So it doesn't matter what the individual thing you do is, but it does matter whether you're doing it from a place of free will or if you're doing it because you're a mental slave. And I walk around and just from talking to people, they're just mental slaves. A lot of people are mental slaves. You can hear it because they don't speak. Like when I talk, I have a unique set of inputs and beliefs. But a lot of people, they sound like parrots. Literally. They're just parroting off political narratives, societal narratives, corporate narratives, things that you hear on TV come out of their mouth, things that you hear from pundits come out of their mouth. They don't know how to think. People have lost the ability to think. And I don't consider myself this liberated free thinker, but I realize that I should at least try to consciously choose whatever established narratives that I want to believe. Because it's impossible to truly be original. You have to adopt some narrative that someone else already created. Like, I know that. Nobody has complete free will or complete free thinking. But just ask yourself if you think for yourself. And if deep down you know you don't, ask yourself why you don't. Explore. Use your curiosity. Read. Watch videos like you're doing now. Podcast. Listen to people you disagree with, people you agree with, people with different angles. Try to become a whole person. Stop being a societal mascot. Stop rooting for teams that don't care about you. Stop trying to impress people you don't even like and that couldn't give two you-know-whats about you. Stop trying to do anything that doesn't suit you. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, you should be free to live your life as you please without shame, free from the chains of mental slavery. Okay, that's the end of the video. Subscribe, You 2.0. Check me out. I'm very happy that you watched this video, and I'm having a ton of fun.